today we're tackling, well, it's the big one, isn't it?
The meaning of life.
Yeah, exactly. That question that's kind of puzzled humanity forever.
And it can feel, well, pretty overwhelming sometimes. Some of the sources we looked at even mention, that feeling of existential crisis just from grappling with it.
Totally understandable. So for this deep dive, we've really dug into a whole stack of different sources.
We have articles on the psychology side, finding personal purpose, then philosophy, science, exploring existence itself.
And even some ancient wisdom, like Stoicism, which was fascinating.
Absolutely. So our goal for you listening is really to cut through some of that complexity.
Yeah, we want to unpack these different viewpoints, pull out the key stuff, and figure out why this whole search actually matters for your well-being.
And importantly, give you some practical ways you can start exploring or maybe living out your own sense of purpose.
Think of it as your shortcut, your briefing on a really profound topic.
Right. So where do we start? Maybe defining terms. Because meaning and purpose get used, well, interchangeably sometimes.
Good point. The sources do draw a distinction. First, there's that big philosophical idea, the meaning of life. Capital M, capital L.
That's the grand question. Does existence itself have some inherent point, some objective significance outside of us?
The one philosophers and theologians have wrestled with forever.
Exactly. Is there a big answer out there? But then there's the more personal angle.
Life purpose.
Yeah.
Which is really about you.
Yes. It's more like, what gives your life meaning? What's your guiding force, your direction?
The why behind what you do, your goals, what gets you up in the morning, maybe?
Precisely. What inspires you to grow, to contribute, to live with intention?
And a key thing the sources stress is that this personal purpose, it's not usually set in stone.
Not at all. It can evolve.
Yeah.
It often does. Your experiences, your values, just reflecting on life, it all shapes it.
And it doesn't have to be, world-changing.
Absolutely not. Meaning comes from all sorts of places. Raising kids, supporting a cause you care about, mastering a craft, creating something.
Research, travel, mentoring. The list goes on.
So that big philosophical question, what's the meaning of life, kind of shifts, doesn't it?
It becomes more like, okay, what gives my life meaning? Which feels, well, more manageable maybe, more actionable.
And that brings us right to why this matters so much personally. Because the research here is really clear. Having that sense of purpose, it has real benefits.
Okay, let's get into that. The psychological side, for instance.
Yeah, it's striking. People who report a strong sense of purpose, they're consistently less likely to struggle with things like depression, anxiety, boredom.
Loneliness, even substance abuse issues.
Right. And on the flip side, they tend to score higher on optimism, hope, self-esteem, overall life satisfaction.
It really sounds fundamental to just feeling good about your life.
It seems to be.
Yeah.
Central well-being, optimal development.
Yeah.
The sources really emphasize it.
And it's not just in your head either. There are physical links too.
Tangible benefits. Studies connect purpose with better health outcomes. Things like reduced risk of dementia.
Heart attacks, stroke.
Even
Living longer, lower mortality rates.
It's quite profound. And for younger people, it's even linked to doing better in school academically.
Wow. Okay, but there's a nuance here, isn't there? Because pursuing purpose isn't always easy.
That's a really important point from the sources, yes. Purpose brings fulfillment, sure, but the path to it, or living it out, can be stressful.
Like parenting, maybe. Or caring for someone.
Exactly. Those are often cited as incredibly meaningful activities.
Yeah.
High purpose. But they can also involve a lot of stress, maybe lower day-to-day happiness compared to pure leisure.
So the meaning isn't necessarily about immediate pleasure, but deeper value.
Precisely. It's about the contribution, the connection, the alignment with values, even when it's tough.
That makes sense. So if having purpose is so beneficial, how might someone, recognize if they're feeling a bit adrift, lacking it?
Well, one interesting thing that came up was this idea of purpose anxiety.
Purpose anxiety, like worrying about finding it.
Yeah, that pressure. Feeling nervous because you feel like you should have this clear purpose, and maybe you don't.
I can see how that could happen.
Definitely. And the advice is really, it's okay. Finding purpose often isn't some sudden lightning bolt. It's a journey, a lifelong exploration, really.
So don't let the anxiety stop you from exploring.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Don't let it paralyze you. But beyond that specific anxiety, there are other signs.
Like what? What might you notice?
Things like maybe a general lack of energy, or not feeling much enthusiasm about the future.
Feeling like you're not really making a difference.
or not feeling passionate about any particular cause or activity, maybe struggling to recognize your own accomplishment, however small.
Feeling disconnected, like you're not part of something bigger.
Yeah, that too. Or even just not enjoying things you normally like. Kind of a general malaise, maybe.
Oh, okay. So to help someone navigate this, it probably helps to understand the bigger picture, right? How have others thought about this?
Absolutely. Looking at the diverse perspectives is really useful context for your own journey. Science, for example, tackles it from its own angle.
Right. Science is more about the how, isn't it? How did life start? How does the universe work?
Exactly. It looks at life's origins, biologically. That idea of feeding on negative entropy, creating order, Darwinian dynamics.
It looks at the universe's origins, Big Bang, potential futures like a big freeze or rep, even wilder ideas like multiverses.
And it probes consciousness, the mind, that explanatory gap. How does subjective feeling arise from physical stuff? Questions about free will.
So science doesn't give the answer to why, but it informs the question.
Precisely. It reveals the incredible scale, the complexity, the processes of existence. It finds factors that correlate with our feeling of meaning. And for some, just understanding that wonder is itself meaningful.
Okay, then you have philosophy, a very long history there.
A very long history. One major school mentioned is existentialism.
Right, the idea that you create your own meaning.
Essentially, yes. Existence precedes essence. You exist first, then you define who you are and what your life means through your choices, your actions.
No prepackaged purpose.
None. But that freedom, it comes with responsibility. Facing your freedom, your mortality, existentialists noted that can bring anxiety, dread even.
But the power is yours to define values.
That's the core insight. And other views, like secular humanism, also focus on human agency, advancing humanity, determining meaning through reason and shared values.
There was also a therapeutic perspective mentioned, inspired by Viktor Frankl.
Yes, the idea that maybe the big abstract question, what is the meaning of life, kind of dissolves when you're fully engaged in living.
So the focus shifts.
It shifts to what's blocking your engagement right now.
Yeah.
Let's address that specific obstacle. Less abstract pondering, more practical problem solving in the context of living.
Interesting. And then, of course, there are religious perspectives. The sources gave a broad overview.
They did, aiming for impartiality. For many in Abrahamic faiths, Judaism, Christianity, Islam meaning, is deeply tied to relating to God, to the divine.
Following a sacred path, right? Like fulfilling the law, acts of kindness in Judaism.
Or faith, love, spreading the gospel, compassion in Christianity.
Or serving Allah, justice, charity in Islam. A focus on divine guidance and contribution.
Exactly. And in South Asian traditions, like Hinduism and Buddhism, you often see the goal as transcending suffering, breaking cycles of reincarnation.
Hinduism talks about dharma duty, righteous living, aiming for union with a higher reality.
And Buddhism focuses on the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path to End Suffering, ethical actions, gaining good karma. Jainism shares similar goals, big emphasis on nonviolence.
Sikhism emphasizes devotion, service to humanity.
The common thread across many, though not all religious views, is finding meaning through a connection to something larger, a higher power, a set of principles, a community, and living according to a moral framework, often involving inner work or service.
Beyond these big systems, though, people find meaning in all sorts of ways, the sources mentioned.
Absolutely. Realizing your potential, seeking knowledge, just doing good deeds, loving life, enjoying it.
Even simple survival, reproduction, and pop culture taps into it too, right?
Oh, yeah. Douglas Adams' 42, from Hitchhiker's Guide, the ultimate, meaningless answer to the ultimate question.
Which is kind of meaningful in its own way.
True. Or that line from Person of Interest, if just one person remembers you, maybe you never really die. Finding meaning in connection, in impact.
And we should acknowledge the view that maybe there is no inherent meaning nihilism, or that searching isn't the point, just living responsibly is.
Right, it's a full spectrum of views.
Okay, so we've got the benefits, the signs of lacking purpose, this huge range of perspectives.
Right.
Now, the crucial part, what can you, the listener, actually do? How do you start exploring this for yourself?
This is where it gets practical. And the sources offer some really good starting points. Number one, self-reflection.
Knowing yourself first.
Exactly. Start with your core values. What really matters to you? What beliefs guide your choices? Honesty, compassion, creativity, security.
Nailing those down seems key.
It's fundamental. Purpose often flows directly from living in line with your deepest values. Then, look at your passions and skills.
What do you love doing? What are you good at?
Yeah. Not just for work. Hobbies, things you learn for fun, Ways you help others naturally. Where do your interests and abilities intersect?
Okay, values, passions, skills, then what? Taking action.
Yes, but crucially, start small.
Don't try to find the ultimate meaning on day one.
Please don't. That's paralyzing. Think of it like exploring. Try things out. Small steps aligned with a value or an interest. Build momentum.
Goal setting fits in here too.
It does. But think meaningful, longer-term aims. A cool technique mentioned is visualizing your future self.
Like, who do you want to be in 5, 10 years, living purposefully?
What does that life look like? Really picturing it can decrease negative habits now and steer you towards things that build that future.
And asking yourself questions about progress,
Mhm.
like a Socratic dialogue with yourself.
Yeah, checking in. Am I moving towards that vision? What's working, what's not? It keeps it active.
You mentioned the Stoics earlier. They had some practical mindset tools too, right?
They really did. Powerful stuff. One is objective descriptions.
Seeing things factually.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
Stripping away the drama, the value judgments. Marcus Aurelius looking at fancy food and just describing the dead animal parts. Napoleon seeing a throne as just a bench covered in velvet.
Sounds a bit clinical.
It can, but the point isn't to be cold. It's to see reality clearly so you can respond rationally, find solutions, instead of getting swept up in, oh, this is terrible.
That makes sense. Less emotional overwhelm.
Exactly. And they also stress clarifying your values by looking at people you admire. What qualities did they have? How can you cultivate those?
Aiming to be the person you want to appear to be.
Integrity.
Right. Living it out. Another great one is the view from above.
Perspective shifting. Big time. Imagine zooming out, looking down on yourself, your situation, from high up. See it in the context of the city, the planet, cosmic time.
Makes your current stress feel smaller.
Often, yeah. It helps maintain perspective, rationality. And interestingly, research beyond Stoicism shows this kind of mental simulation. Imagining different places, times, perspectives genuinely enhances our sense of meaning. Looking beyond the immediate here and now seems key.
Connection also seems vital. Connecting with others with something bigger.
Hugely important. Gratitude came up a lot.
Just being thankful.
Actively focusing on it. What are you grateful for? Who helped you? What benefits have you received? Recognizing kindness, sacrifices. It builds this beyond the self orientation.
Which makes you want to give back.
Often, yes. It inspires contribution. Simple things. Keeping a gratitude journal, writing thank you notes. It primes the pump for purposeful action.
And connecting to something larger than yourself directly combats that feeling of not making a difference.
Right. Absolutely. Whether it's religion, community groups, volunteering for a cause, feeling part of something bigger is a powerful source of meaning.
And if you're really stuck,
Seeking support is always an option. The sources mention things like purpose coaching, therapy. Sometimes an outside perspective is what you need to help clarify values, visualize, make a plan.
okay. So bringing this all together, it's clear this search for purpose is, well, a massive human undertaking.
It really is a profound question, deeply tied to our well-being. And as we've seen, it's a journey, not a destination.
We've covered a lot: the concepts, the benefits, the diverse perspectives from science, philosophy, religion.
And crucially, the practical steps. That meaning is complex, but ultimately personal. And cultivating it has real psychological and physical advantages.
And you can start right now. Self-reflection, small actions, shifting perspective, cultivating gratitude and connection. These are things anyone can begin exploring.
Moving past feeling stuck, living with more intention. It's accessible.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Considering everything we've talked about, the sheer scale of the universe, the brief flicker of an individual life, maybe the deepest meaning isn't just about what we find or what specific purpose we land on.
Maybe it's in the process itself.
Exactly. Maybe the meaning lies in the conscious, deliberate act of searching, of creating, and of living out that meaning day by day, right here, right now, in the face of it all. So as you go from here, what's one aspect of this deep dive that you'll explore further today?